Welcome to this kickoff meeting of the RES2FIRE project. I'm a researcher from the University of Basilicata. CGIAM asked me to support with the organization and coordination of this international project. And I'll be the moderator, so to speak, for today's event. So some housekeeping first. We've got quite a few people connected online because this is a hybrid event. It's being broadcasted. Specifically, we've got Ms. Andrea Igasi-Epak, who's our remote manager, and she is the manager for the program that funds this project. And in a few minutes, we'll start the event with the greetings from the authorities who've been so generous to be here with us this morning. So if you wanted to listen to the simultaneous translation, you can use the QR code that you can find in your carpets, and the carpets that have been handed out. If you use the QR code, you can open a link and then you can sign up with your name and email. That's how you'll be able to listen to the translation. I'd like to greet Andrea Igazi again. I can see her now on video. And we also have Natasha Bezlak from Bosnia and Helena from Slovenia.
Materials that you received, please get the QR code that is available for the translation, and you will be sent a link connected to a link to access the interpretation, the simultaneous translation. You will not need any app for this. You just need to log on with your name and your email, and then you will choose the language you want to use to follow the conference. So very soon we will have.
So as I said, we're going to listen to Ms. Lucia Trivigno, the General Director of CGIAM, and she will be opening the conference, and then we'll give the floor to our authorities. Here we are. Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for being here today at this event, which is very important to us. I'd like to thank the director of the library, Mr. Luigi Catalani, who's hosting us in this beautiful location and venue. I'd like to thank our project officer connected online, Ms. Andrea Igazi, and all the speakers and all the people attending the event. This RES2FIRE project was set up in 2023, and it was submitted to the first call for the Interregional Territorial Cooperation Program, IPA Interreg IPA Adrion 2021-2027. And its duration will be 27 months. So it started in July 2024 and it will be completed in July 2027. All right, great, thanks. So now we can give the floor to Mr. Gerardo Quaranta. I don't want to make mistakes with the names and get them wrong. Mr. Gerardo Quaranta is the Vice Prefect of the province of Potenza. Right, so good morning, everyone. I'm Gerardo Quaranta, Vice Prefect of the province of Potenza, and I'd like to greet and welcome all the people who have masterfully organized this event. As far as I know, it will have a 3-year duration, so it will span 3 years, and we hope that the project will be able to come up with new initiatives and methodologies to fight against wildfires. Wildfires are an issue for all of us, that the regional body is working on a daily basis, and we monitor the issue very closely on a daily basis. That said, I would like to welcome the mayor of the city of Potenza and the delegates and the partners of the project who are here today. I've read that we've got Macedonia, Greece, Albania, and many other countries. I'm sure that they will definitely make a significant contribution to the attempt to identify an alternative system, if you will, to fight against wildfires. And I have to apologize, as I was telling the director, because I've got other commitments today and other engagements, so I'll have to leave you shortly. I just wanted to welcome you all and wish you all fruitful proceedings and a great day. So let me just share these words with you, and I thank you all again. I wish you all a good day. Thank you, Mr. Quaranta. And now we'll give the floor to the mayor of the city of Potenza, Mr. Vincenzo Telesca. Who I'm sure will have plenty to say about this issue, this thorny, flamey issue. Right. Thank you very much, and welcome you all to our city. I'd like to welcome all the project partners of this European project. In my previous life, let's say, in my career, I also took part in similar projects. I went to Lisbon, Bucharest, Budapest for similar projects. On those occasions, we were working on public tenders and procurement policies. And so we were sharing information about this specific topic with the other project partners. In this case, we're sharing with other countries a different kind of issue, not public procurement, but an issue that affects all of us in this region, including Spain, even if Spain is not a project partner. And the issue at hand is wildland fires. Wildland fires affect our region in Italy, but also our entire country, as well as the other countries in this region. These are heavily affected, especially in the summer, as a result of climate change, of course. And as you also know, here in the Basilicata region, we're also experiencing another problem, which is not related to wildfires, but to water scarcity and droughts. Unfortunately, we've been suffering from water scarcity since past summer, and the water crisis is a significant issue for all of us. And it is the result of climate change as well, just like wildfires. It's causing significant issues as well. So it may almost sound like a euphemism to say that the Basilicata region is suffering from water scarcity because we're rich in water resources, so we shouldn't be facing this issue. But sadly enough, we are faced with this issue, not only as a result of climate change, but also as a result of a lack of structural measures, which I'm sure you'll be also looking at in the next 3 years of the project, the RES2FIRE project. I'm sure that the project will allow you to identify useful measures to take action. I would also like to greet and welcome all the authorities here in the room, including the civil protection and the fire brigade. I can see them sitting in the third row, but they should in fact be sitting in the first row because they are always at the forefront in fighting against wildfires and tackling this issue. So here in the city of Potenza, we have a project to monitor wildfires. We've only briefly mentioned this problem, but I have given the green light to implement it fully. And this monitoring project is fundamental not only for the city of Potenza, but for the neighboring towns and cities as well, which also suffer from wildfires in the summer. Sometimes wildfires come very close to urban areas and homes, so we should all work together to achieve a better result and to tackle the problem more effectively. It's important to identify the root cause, and the root cause here is climate change, which we should all be tackling more effectively as well. That said, I apologize because I will have to leave you now. I have other previous commitments, and we've got a crisis to face because, as I said, there are some areas here in Potenza who are still lacking water. The water supply is not working, so we're working with the civil protection to resolve this issue. So I wish you all a good day and that you'll be able to achieve a significant outcome in the future with this project. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let me just say that the City of Potenza is associated partner of the project. This means that it is actively involved in the project thanks to its bodies, even if it's not a full partner of the project. Let me just tie in to what you were saying about public procurement or public tenders. This is very important because well, it's true that we have an emotional reaction to wildfires, but there are also economic aspects involved. We should decide how to invest public funds to fight against wildfires to be as effective as possible. So we really rely on your contribution to do that. Well, yeah, you're right. I believe that if different investments were made, you know, if public money was spent differently, then we wouldn't only be able to suppress wildfires, but we would be able to prevent wildfires from occurring. Last Sunday, I went to visit some of the most beautiful forest areas here in Potenza to promote those areas from a tourist point of view. And let me say that if these areas are not maintained properly, well, that's a problem. We used to have public staff, you know, public officials to do that, but that's no longer the case today. So one of the main issues at hand here is precisely maintenance. So we need to change our approach and to change the way in which we spend money to manage forests. Oftentimes, as we know, wildfires are sparked intentionally. There are people who intentionally spark them and set forests on fire. But are these people just crazy, or are they merely, let's say, launching messages to remind us that we need additional workforce to maintain them, right? Then wildfires are more costly when it comes to actually suppressing them than when it comes to preventing them. So maybe we should be addressing this issue at a higher level, at a national level, so that measures can be taken not only in Potenza, but across the country. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Goodbye. Thank you very much again. Right. So now we're giving the floor instead to our president, Mr. Rodolfo Console. Thank you very much. I'm not one of the authorities. In fact, I play quite a different role. I've got more of a scientific role here. So I'm Italian and I will speak Italian as I am more fluent in it than in English. But because of the international nature of the event, I will attempt to give my speech in English.
The kickoff meeting of the RES2FIRE project. So I wanted to greet the authorities here. They have just left the Vice Prefect of the Potenza province and the Lord Mayor of Potenza municipality. And also I greet Dr. Andrea Igasi Epacher, who is online in contact with us now. She is responsible of the IPA Adrion project. Oh, I already gave an introduction in the previous meeting, the first meeting of the steering committee of RES2FIRE. It was held on the 9th of October here in Potenza. I was online that time. I was not present. And I already explained that the CGIAM operates mainly in the field of applied research aimed at reducing natural and human-induced, also wildfires, for example, risks at both the national and international levels. And for sake of time, I'm not repeating the same words as in the previous meeting, in the steering committee. But I have just a piece of news, something new. After the meeting of the 9th of October of the RES2FIRE project, the CGIAM organized here in Potenza the second consortium meeting of another project dealing with wildfires. It is the Fire-Free Interreg Euromed project. The acronym is FRED, just FRED. And the specific objective of this project in which we are involved is promoting climate change adaptation and disaster risk prevention and resilience, take into account ecosystem-based approaches. So in the very wide setup. And now just a few words a few comments from me about the word which is in the name of our Center of Integrated Geomorphology for the Mediterranean area. It's a very long name, but the word integrated is inside. It is important, fundamental. The name was adopted in 1979 when the CGIAM was founded. And integrated must be interpreted in the sense of multidisciplinary, not just focused on geomorphology, which is something specific. There are people who are walking in the country and they look at the hills, the shapes, the rivers, and so on. In our context, it is much wider understanding. So in that case, in 1979, already 45 years ago, the founders that were very important professors in several disciplines, the founders of the center, had anticipated this modern concept that the multidisciplinarity is fundamental in protecting, restoring, valorizing in the natural environment and heritage. So now in our present context, we are dealing with a very broad issue, not just focusing on specific discipline or methodologies. For this reason, the CGIAM, my center, does not focus only on few methodological aspects, but it is interested in a wide band of cultural aspects: geology, geophysics, even botanics, social sciences, even history. History is important because if you know the past, you can manage the present much better. So this is already the end of my short talk. And once again, I thank everyone for your availability and the commitment that you bring here to moving the project forward. And now I leave the floor to Dr. Perretti again to proceed with the agenda. Thank you.
Grazie. Grazie, Dottor Console. Now,
Thank you. Now I would like to introduce Mrs. Ander Gazi-Pescher, which plays the role of project manager of RES2FIRE project as far as the IPA Adrion program is concerned. I'm sure I'm not exaggerating if I say that we are here today. We are here today thanks to the contribution of Andrea. She will offer a brief presentation. She will make a brief presentation of what she wanted the IPA Adrion program to be by financing RES2FIRE. Andrea.
Hear me?
Yes.
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 Thank you for having given me the floor, and thanks for having invited me again to your meeting. Greetings to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you also on behalf of the IPA Adrion program for your second steering committee and the kickoff meeting. Today, I would like to shortly introduce the framework in which your project is also operating, addressing a very important and actually very, very essential issue, climate change. How do we tackle issues related to floods, wildfires, fires? How do we tackle all the prevention systems, and how to upgrade the skills of everybody in the Adriatic Ionian area? May I ask you to start my presentation? Sorry, I cannot see it.
La presentazione è visibile.
The presentation can be viewed in this frame, in this video. Now, I would like to ask Giulio, who is probably connected, if we can enlarge the frame of the presentation. Please, just a second.
I start my presentation in words. So the IPA Adrion program is embedded in the macro-regional strategy of the Adriatic Ionian area, which means this is an integrated development program, how to support the regional development policies in this region. Part are 10 countries of this EU-CER macro-regional strategy and also the IPA Adrion program. Our program finances 4 priorities, and one of them is dealing with climate change. This is the 2.1 climate change specific objective. We fund in this first call 14 projects along with yours, in accounting to 17 million euro co-financing. And all of these projects, all these 14 projects have a partnership of on average 8 to 10 partners, just like yours, and devote budgets up to 1.5 million euros to tackling climate change issues. Sorry, I still do not see the presentation.
visible. We are trying to solve the problem of the, just a second.
If you just put it on the screen, this is fine as well. Then I try to see.
Okay.
Yes, yes, thank you.
Okay.
Now I see it. So the main objective of this climate change specific objective that we finance is enhancing resilience and reduce risk through innovative collaborative solutions to address natural and man-made disasters in the Adriatic-Ionian region. And this is done through the cooperation of public authorities, public bodies, civil protection services, universities, institutes, and obviously the local communities. The key focus areas are how to enhance adaptation and resilience skills, how to enhance disaster risk reduction by introducing nature-based solutions and applying innovative technologies, and obviously establishing long-lasting technical cooperation networks. The projects, these 14 projects that we fund, address the topic of how to tackle the ecosystems, either choosing the path on water systems or fires, how to tackle water-related disasters and how to tackle heat and fire-related disasters. As for the water and ecosystem management profile, we have 3 projects which definitely are devoted to this area. These are Aqua, ACAP, and Prevent. All of them tackle either water utility companies issues or marine pollution issues or marine litter, how to combat marine litter with innovative tools. The second group of projects are tackling heat and fire-related issues, just like yours, RES2FIRE, preventing forest fires with nature-based solutions. INA2 project is developing AI tools for detecting pollution and wildfires. Primis will do proactive drought risk management development through community engagement. And we have another project, MBS for Resilience, which is developing nature-based solutions to address floods, erosions, and also wildfires. Why I'm telling this? At a later moment in time, we will try to connect all these projects among themselves, and potentially you will have the option that you can get into contact with the other projects and see where there are potential aspects that you could collaborate on jointly or give each other good ideas how to develop further in your projects. Can you please process? Yes. Besides of the topics covered, I grouped the projects into 2 different approaches that they choose. One group of the projects chooses nature-based solutions as the basis for their work. Nature-based solutions choose NBS for Resilience, Ariana, Natured, and RES2FIRE. All of these projects try to develop nature-based solutions for either addressing floods or wildfires. And the second group of approaches chosen by projects is related to technological innovation. Would you mind shift the presentation? Yes, thank you. So in the groups of technological innovations, we have projects which focus on AI related tools, so the development of AI tools for monitoring purposes, for detection purposes, and the other direction in technological innovations goes to the development of joint databases, joint decision support systems, early warning systems, and joint IT tools to tackle civil protection systems. These are iNatur, AIMS, Urban Floods, PLAD, RES2FIRE 2024, and GRECALE. And I grouped the projects also in capacity building, although all of the projects address capacity building, which is a necessary element for enhancing cooperation. But specifically, RES2FIRE 2024 will be important because it's addressing the legal framework, because it's addressing how the European Critical Entities Directive can be translated into the national legislation of all member states. This might be also of interest to you at a later stage. And GRECALE and ACAP again address national level legislative and capacity building challenges. And these are all led by national line ministries, just like ACAP for maritime administrations who are addressing maritime incidents, or GRECALE, who are again addressing civil protection service development as such. So there will be in these directions possible connections for you as RES2FIRE. Potentially building something new jointly. Can you please shift? Yes, so what we expect as IPA Adrion program, we expect results and benefits of the 14 projects themselves, but also from the cooperation of these 14 projects among themselves as cluster. We expect strengthened transnational collaboration, especially among the civil protection services and national line ministries or firefighter associations, which are technically up to date in this area. We hope that there will be an improved preparedness and response mechanisms, not only at regional level and national level, but also at transnational level. Should there be, again, disaster cases, in these cases, then member states can help out each other more effectively. And then as a third aspect, we expect that there will be a lot of new innovative solutions, either technical or nature-based ones, which are then tailored to regional needs. At the moment, we face challenges, but also opportunities. The challenge that we face are the very diverse regional contexts, the lack of harmonized strategies and approaches, and the lack of a trans-border technical cooperation networks who can help out each other in case of crisis situations. Therefore, the opportunities based on these challenges identified can be addressed as harmonized transnational approach, both in terms of legislative and technical terms. Then active trans-border cooperation of civil protection services and who can scale up successfully practices newly introduced based on new technologies or based on new nature-based solutions. And obviously, we expect also that the citizen engagement will be fostered and enhanced. So as a conclusion and next steps. So as next steps, we try to address reinforcing cooperation for a resilient Adriatic-Ionian region at transnational, national, and regional levels. Promoting sustainable and inclusive solutions for addressing climate-related disasters, scaling up successful practices across the whole Adriatic region, and enhanced stakeholder engagement at all levels. So this would be the very short conclusion of the specific objective 2.1, which your project belongs as well to. And this is dealing with climate change, addressing climate change resilience. Thank you for your attention, and I'm really glad that your project could be already started, and I'm looking forward for a very fruitful cooperation throughout these next 3 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. I grasped two important words from this interesting, exhaustive presentation, communication that you made. The first is complexity, right? Problems such as the one that our mayor talked about, the drought, the fires, wildfires are all profoundly intertwined in a dramatic process of climate change that we are currently facing. So we need technical, organizational solutions and also economic solutions which are different and new. Therefore, now I would like to thank you again, Andrea, and I would like to give the floor to Giuseppe Mancino, who together with Mrs. Trevino, who had already heard, so that he can make a brief introduction of his project. Thank you so much. May I start? Yes? Good morning once again. So today we are tackling a quite important subject, which is how to tackle the wildfire. It is important, therefore, to speak about wildfires, to keep the attention high and to raise awareness on the entire population. In the last years, wildfires became more and more frequent, and the surface affected by wildfire is becoming bigger and bigger. So economic and social damages on the territory are big and are on the rise. The European System of Information in the field of wildfire register the fact that 10% was the increase of wildfires, and this is a great increase compared to 2024. 60% is the increase. So we need to employ means and staff to try to intervene as soon as possible on wildfires and to reduce as much as possible the damages caused by wildfires. So in practice, it means to have prevention tools and protection tools that might be more effective and that they can respond to the characteristics, the features of the territory. This can help all the stakeholders that are involved in the problem of wildfires. This is one of the biggest results of this project. As we already said, this project has been founded in the Interreg program framework, and the aim is to increase the liability of the prevention system by increasing the knowledge about the risk management tools and putting in place tools that can reduce the impact of wildfires. So this helps to make the territory more, well, less inclined, less prone to be submitted to wildfires, and this makes the territory more resilient as well. The objective of this, well, the manager of this project is the Geomorphological Center for the Mediterranean area, grounded in 1979. Is one of the associates of the center, and it was grounded in the moment where Basilicata didn't have an university yet. the technological and technical means are used to reduce the natural risks. And lately, it created a project financed by the Directorate General of the Civil Protection in Europe. And for decades, it supported new countries that adhere to the EU in transposing directives in the field of natural risks, health, care, and other subjects. So RES2FIRE tackle is this center capitalized part of important results reached in the field of the Sprint project that we proposed, which has been financed at national level and that was concluded in 2021, that helped us to gather important information that are valuable to plan fire prevention activities. Inside this project, we could invite 7 countries of the Adriatic-Ionic regions, Bosnia-Herzegovina, North Macedonia, Serbia, Slovenia, Albania, and Greece. Beyond these institutional partners that are considered to be research centers, institutions, universities, we also have municipalities and new associations. As we said before, we have the Civil Protection Office from the municipality of Potenza. Then we have the National Park of the Lucan Apennine, Valdagri and Valesan. But we are open to involve other entities, other organizations that might be interested to participate, to benefit from the results of this project. An important added value of this project, and then I give the floor to my colleague, Giuseppe Mancino, who is the technical scientific reference point of this project, is to identify risk levels up to in the macro area of the Ionian Adriatic Sea. So we take into consideration the climate change and their scenario. So we hope that the results can be useful and can be received by the main stakeholders that are involved in the planning and management activities of the territory to make it more resistant and resilient to the damages caused by wildfires. Now I give the floor to Giuseppe, who can speak about more details, about more technical and scientific details of this project. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here today at the presentation of this project, RES2FIRE. So I skipped this slide because we spoke a lot about this subject. Andrea and other speakers spoke about these details. So I will skip this slide. What is RES2FIRE? As the title says, is a set of models and tools to improve the resilience and resistance to wildfires in the protected natural areas and forest-urban interface areas. These are 2 main concepts, resilience and resistance. If I have to mention a document from the EU from 2021, when we're speaking about the wildfires, well, I can speak about the vegetation management that is resilient and resistant to wildfires. So the main objective is to develop procedures in the macro region of the Ionian and Adriatic Sea that is composed by 10 countries of the territorial area. I go very fast, and other stakeholders here present will have the chance to intervene. You can see the macro region of the Ionian Sea and the Adriatic Sea participating in the program. You see it indicated in yellow, and there you can see the countries participated in the RES2FIRE project. We have 7 countries, 7 out of 10, if we consider San Marino is a 3rd country. the central morphological center is in the Mediterranean area, as Mrs. Livigno said. It's a partner as well. We have different partners in the network, and they will have all the chance to present themselves. If we move forward, we can talk about the specific objectives and main products. One of the objectives is the realization of fire hazard maps and fire risk maps, starting from the study that has been done throughout a decade and mapping a series of countries participating in this project. So there are many areas that are changing and are in different changing steps. RES2FIRE has two steps, 2060 and 2100, and different emission scenarios. The main thing to bear in mind is the one that Andrea underlined, the harmonization. Therefore, we will need to use an harmonized procedure to realize this fire risk and fire hazard maps, because it is important to harmonize and to compare data, different data. Of course, we need to have certain the possibility to compare data. This is important because this help the decision making stakeholder to have the risk profile, and this is useful to be able to adopt a dedicated solution to plan the employment or resources. It is important to identify an harmonized methodology, so to scale up this project in every member country participating in the project. So it will be possible to export the same methodology in other protective area and in other countries. It will be possible to export this model transnational level in all area of the Adriatic and Ionian macro region. Here we can find some other specific objectives, the products that will be obtained by RES2FIRE throughout the realization of 4 pilot actions that will be centered around the different types of forests, regrouped in different categories and in different forest urban area. These pilot actions will be used to identify the behavior of wildfires in as a prevention, as a measure to be able to manage different interventions that need to be carried out on the ground. This will give the possibility to identify cultural models that are the most adapted to reduce the spread risk of wildfire. Another product of RES2FIRE is the realization of web-based decision support tool that will help to visualize, to view, and to inquiry and analyze all the information coming from the complex system of analysis regarding the fire risk. I will be fast. These are other important products created by the RES2FIRE, is the identification of the burn severity throughout the images taken by satellites and the capacity of resilience in the area affected by the wildfire, and areas that have been tackled by our association and that are part of the RES2FIRE project. This will be also the object of the study carried out by Angelo Monek, who will be talking about this matter as well. The results we expect will be the improvement of provision and prevention tools of wildfires what means actually a paradigm shift. It's considered to be a paradigm shift at European level, and it will be important to tackle and to suppress wildfires and to reinforce the prevision and prevention tools to be used on the territory to mitigate the risk level in the areas of interest and prevention by identifying the management tools and to increase the resilience and resistance levels of natural resources. Of course, the beneficiaries will be of different ones, public authorities, local authorities, national ones, the managers, forest managers, civil protection, scientific entities, all local communities. Thank you so much for your attention.
Introduce the partners, the main actors of this adventure. So I would like to give the floor. We are lucky because we have all partners, even if because of a difficulty we have our partners from Bosnia and Herzegovina and from Slovenia connected in streaming, but they are present. They are attending the meeting since the beginning. So I would like to ask Elena and Natasha to prepare to intervene very soon. And I will start giving the floor to the representative. I will decided till the last moment who will actually speak among you to IPERS, IPERS, the Institute for the Civil Protection and Ecology of the Republic of Bosnia and Herzegovina. Yes, you need to come here. As you might understand, we are just giving you the opportunity and the pleasure to see you in person. So a very, very short introduction of your organization will be welcomed. This one, and then you turn on the microphone.
Buongiorno a tutti. Siccome siamo in Italia.
Good morning, everyone. As we are in Italy, I'll be speaking Italian. So we're from Bagnaluca. We are a research center for protection and the ecology. Bagnaluca is a town in northern Bosnia-Herzegovina, and it's the second largest town or city in Bosnia-Herzegovina. I'm Sonja Malkovic, and I come from this research institute. But let me just say, first of all, that we are extremely delighted to take part in this event and in this project, which is about such an important issue for us, wildfires. Our associated partner is a national park located in the south of the country. It's the ancient forest in Europe. In 2024, this forest was affected by a very large wildfire, which has left a number of significant repercussions on this forest. And I'd like to say that our research institute for the protection and ecology has a department which deals specifically with wildfires and with the fight against wildfires and other natural disasters. We also have a number of departments working on research, education, prevention, and other ecology-related issues or matters. And I should also say something else that is important. We got here yesterday and we are already loving the city of Potenza. It's a beautiful place. It's very clean. And we are actually surprised by how clean the city of Potenza is. It's got a beautiful natural landscape. It's beautifully located on a hill. And well, thank you very much for your attention. And let me just say again that we are extremely happy to be here. We hope that the outcomes of the project will be useful for the city of Potenza and for all the countries taking part in the project. Thanks again.
Now, the AVMAP, the GIS Digital Applications from Greece. The floor is yours.
Hello, everybody, and it's very nice to be among colleagues sharing the same problems, the same interests, the same ideas as we do in AVMAP. AVMAP is a private company that covers digital applications, high-end solutions, big data solutions, and geographic information system solutions, integrating artificial intelligence and all the new trends in IT to deliver robust platforms to mainly public sector, ministries, municipalities, and some research institutes. And also we have a very strong research and development department, the one that participates in this project. And through our network of cooperations, we invited as an associate partner the municipality of Marathon. I have to remind you that Marathon and Rafina municipality, neighboring municipalities, are the ones that had the severe fire event in 2018 with more than 110 casualties. And it was one of the most impressive, I must say, fire events because it it started from the Pendeli mountain and in about 1 hour went into the urban zone and ended to the sea, and ended because of the sea. It exhausted all the fire burning material, and that's why it ended. And this was a shock in our, let's say, governmental national mechanism, because it proved in the most significant way that we are unable to stop a fire if we have high winds, and if we are not prepared for such events before the events. Now we are talking that we cannot stop fires, but we can slow down fire events, and the prevention has to be before the event. And moreover, delivered a very intense idea that fire event will run uh, through its way, and civilians must have early warning and a way out, because this is what we didn't have. AVMAP is situated in this area, and this is one of our, let's say, privileges, benefits to focus and study what happened there. And we also assisted the local authorities with technology, with what we could offer apart from our labor, from our manpower. And this is what we want to contribute to this project. And we're very happy to have other partners, as I said, sharing the same problems and the same interest to solve the problems. Thank you very much.
Thank you to you. And But your intervention missed the congratulations for the beauty of Potenza. This is very bad of you.
I will tell personally.
Okay, thank you. So, University of Western Macedonia. Please introduce yourself with your name before speaking.
Hello.
5 minutes.
Okay, it's enough. Good morning to everyone. My name is Kostas Panitsidis. I'm from University of Western Macedonia, and I'm honored to be here representing the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering at the university from Laboratory Telnas, Telecommunications. And we are specialized in bringing intelligence, adaptation, and cognition into networks and services. Our mission is to tackle critical challenges through cutting-edge research innovation in the areas on IoT, on decision support making system. Also, we have a project Urban Floods, which our main purpose is to develop a decision support system for floods. And we are equipped with smart sensor systems, IoT development kits, and our roles to RES2FIRE project is to custom fire model and to develop advanced fire spread visualization techniques, and also to test the model in pilot areas. We are happy to be here, and I'm thrilled to start this project with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kostas. We appreciate it very much, and I hope you noticed the great mix of different subjects: research, local administrations, universities. So we are really confident we will reach our objectives, and we will add something. We will create an added value for our partners. So now the municipality of Chani, who will speak will tell me about the pronunciation. I apologize in advance. From North Macedonia.
Hello to everybody. My name is Dragan Petrov. I work in the Department of Planning and Development of Municipality of Kočani as advisor for local economic development and cross-border cooperation. Our municipality is located in the eastern part of North Macedonia, and it has, according to the last census, about 36,000 inhabitants, and include one urban area, town of Kočani, and 26 rural settlements. According to the law of local self-government, each unit of local self-government has a task to carry off fire protection. So the municipality of Kočani has formed territorial unit, fire protection unit with 16 firefighters. Here with us is Mr. Dragan Apostolov, who is commander of our territorial firefighter unit. Also, we have representatives from our associative partners. Here is president of the Voluntary Firefighter Society, Mr. Zlatko Iliev, and from the Public Enterprise National Forest is Orse Dimitrov. The reasons that we involved in this project is that because on our area is located a protected area, Osogovo Mountains. So we are interested to resolve the problem of fire in that area. And I can say that specific for our region is that we are famous with rice fields, and each year after the harvest, farmers get fire strange of the rice harvest, and we get many fires, and our firefighter unit deals with many fires on the territory of our municipality and two neighborhood rural small municipality. So I hope that with this project we have learned some more things and we can contribute to achieving of the goals of the project. Thank you very much.
Thank you to you. Thank you to you. Yeah, this problem is an endless problem in Basilicata too. The burning of the leftovers of the cultivations in Basilicata is about wheat, cereals. But obviously the common problem, the common challenges and the common problems are here. So I hope we will have a fruitful cooperation in this specific field. So now I would like to give the floor to the Institute for Research and Innovation of Serbia. And I would like to ask to Elena, that is connected from Slovenia, to prepare for her intervention.
Sorry, I have a long way to...
You choose the long way to Tipperary. There was a song. The important, sometimes also the journey is important.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having us here. I'm Sinisha Borota from the Institute for Development and Innovation. We are an independent think tank from Belgrade, Serbia, established some six or 7 years ago. We are conducting analysis and offering our expertise in social sciences, developing policies, and conducting projects in the three main program thematic areas of our institute. First one is related to public finance and economic development. Second one is related to youth and the population issues we are facing. And the third one is, we call it green and digital transformation. I'm the manager of that program, and through that program, we are participating in this project. So RES2FIRE is an effort, one of the projects we are conducting through this thematic area in the program. So currently on this project, we are offering our expertise in social sciences in terms of socioeconomic analysis that come later in the project. And we are facilitating the participation of our associated partner, City of Loznica, in the project with the collecting of the data, with the management organization and so on. That's that in short. If you have any questions, we're here. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. We will have opportunities to debate and to exchange experiences. Now, I would like to give the floor to Elena. Sorry, the last. I'm missing in my notes your last name. You will tell us.
Yes.
And please, the floor is yours. The research.
An educational center of Mansion Rakican. Hello, I'm Helena Krajnc. I represented, as I said, Research and Educational Center Dvorec Rakičan, mentioned Rakičan. I'm very sorry not to be there. I was looking for it, but sadly, it's not. That was not a possibility for me. So for our region, Pomurje is where we come from. It's very important, this project. We were really excited to be involved in it. It's important because our region is also very rich in diverse ecosystem and cultural landmarks. And wildfires are well, they are very they are, how should I express? They pose a growth threat due to climate change and also due to human activities, because also here there are a lot of fires that are man-made. As you said before, one of the partners has talked about it. And so, yes, this RES2FIRE project is very important, not only for our region, Pomurje, but also for Slovenia, because it helps Slovenia to pursue the commitment to EU goals as far as sustainability and climate adoption goes. So yes, I hope that that I will still be able to be able to work with you on this project, even if in some other form. But I wish you a very pleasant day, and that will be from my side.
Okay, thank you, Elena. And let me say this in Italian, arrivederci. I'm sure that you will...
Yes, I understand that. I studied in Gorica, that's near the Italian border.
We appreciated very much your effort to be present, at least online, in this meeting. So now, let me give the floor to Natasha Beslak. She is representing the National Park of Kozara. That is a beautiful area. I already know. I will know better when I will visit it very soon.
Yeah, I hope so. Hello to everyone. Unfortunately, the representatives of Kozara National Park were not able to attend the kickoff meeting, but thanks to these modern technologies, we are present at this event. My name is Natasha Pjević-Beslak, and I work for the Kozara National Park. And when it comes to the park, I'll tell you just a few words, some basic characteristics. We are situated in the northwestern part of Bosnia and Herzegovina. The park occupies the central part of the mountain of the same name. It's Mountain Kozara. And in wider area, we are famous for monument 33 meters in height, which represents heroism of the people of Kozara during World War II. As a national park, our main task is conservation and protection of nature and also cultural and historical heritage. Kozara National Park, when it comes to nature heritage, boasts forest. 90% of the park territory is covered with forests, with beech and fir as dominant tree species. And of course, these forests are home to numerous animal and plant species, among them also endangered and rare ones. bearing in mind the fact that Kozara is covered with mainly the forests, 90% of the area. So our involvement in the project is useful and important, especially when it comes to fire protection. So that was briefly.
I would like to thank Natasha very much.
So, national parks. Well, national parks are pivotal even in our region, the Basilicata region. They are as important here as they are in the region that Natasha has just talked about. So international cooperation will definitely be beneficial for all of us. Regarding wildfires affecting national parks, I remember the wildfire a few years ago that affected our most important national park, the Pollino National Park here in the Basilicata region. And I'm telling Natasha because all the other members are familiar with this event, with this natural disaster. So preventing wildfires in protected areas, especially the Mediterranean natural parks, and in southern Italy, is a central issue, critical issue for us. So Natasha, thank you very much again. And I hope I'll see you soon. We'll meet in the afternoon in any case, but I'm looking forward to our cooperation in the future. Right, so thank you very much, everyone. And now, just a question, is the coffee break ready? Are we ready to go on a coffee break? Okay, well, we'll now listen to Professor Angelo Nolè. Oh, sorry, I think I skipped someone. I skipped Creo. I deeply apologize. I skipped you. You could have told me earlier. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. My bad. I'm a bit all over the place. I've got to monitor a number of different things, so I apologize again. I'd like to invite the members from Creo, both members from Creo, to join me here on stage to introduce themselves again. Sorry. So Creo, or Creo, is the Albanian association involved in the project. And, well, they will introduce themselves. As we're speaking last, in this case, well, typically in Italian conferences, the people speaking last are the most important ones. Well, we also say the same in Albania. So we are delighted to be here in Italy. So for this reason, I decided to introduce ourselves in Italian. It's like a second home to me, in a way. So the speech was prepared by Jack, he's the specialist here. In any case, we chose the Shebenik Park, which has got a significant natural value, and that's why it is also protected by UNESCO. But just like everything else in the world now, with climate change, we are also experiencing wildfires now. So we hope that this project can help us do our best to prevent and also tackle all the wildfires affecting our forests. This way we can strengthen the value of this natural park protected by UNESCO. If you've got any specific question about this park, well, you're more than welcome to ask. We can ask Jack. We've got plenty of time later, don't worry. Okay, well, if that's the case, thank you very much for having us, for inviting us here. we're having a great time. Potenza is a small town, but it's beautiful. So hopefully we'll be able to meet in Albania as well, because it's also a beautiful country. So fingers crossed, we'll be able to meet in Albania as well in the future. So you just defined Potenza as a small town. But you've seen the reaction from the audience.
Yeah, ma si trova bene comunque. Abbiamo trovato.
Still, we've had a great time. The people here are also welcoming and kind. And they helped us get here, get to this venue. Because we hadn't been informed of the change in the venue. So the hotel staff actually took us here. And this is an added value, definitely. Thank you very much. I apologize once again with the colleague from CREO for forgetting about them. And now I will leave the floor to Professor Nole. He will give a speech on a specific topic. He will delve deeper into it. So we'll now listen to a, let's say, scientist, a scientific expert who will help us with our work. Thank you, Mr. Perretti, or Professor Perretti for me. He was one of my professors at university. I took his exam. I would like to thank the CGIAM for inviting me here, and let me say hello to all the authorities and the representatives from the various institutions.
Good luck for your project. I will follow this project because it is very interesting. Allora,
so my presentation is about what occurs after the wildfire, in the years after the wildfires. So we'll focus on the, let's say, restoration mechanisms put in place by nature, and I will look at them sort of from a remote perspective, so by using satellites, by using tools which are quite common today. It may seem that I am off topic because you focus more on prevention, on how to make forests more resistant and more resilient. However, we have to look at what nature is able to do on what has already happened. That's how we can improve the way in which we can identify measures that we can also apply to prevention to make forests and natural and protected areas more resistant and more resilient. As Mr. Mancino was saying, resistance and resilience are quite abused nowadays as concepts and notions, right? So we've got plenty of images even on social media about resilience. However, resilience of natural systems is indeed a complex notion. We can simplify it by saying that a system is resilient when it goes back to the initial condition. However, that's not fully true. A resilient ecosystem is able to find a new balance after being affected by a disaster. And wildfires is one of the most severe events. They are extremely widespread, however. This is a map of wildfires. In red, you can see the areas affected by the fire in the last 20 years. These stats are taken from the regional entity responsible for wildfires. They cover a total surface of almost 50,000 hectares, and many things are included in these hectares. We've got forests. These are less than 1/3 of the surfaces affected by wildfires. And luckily so, let me say, because forests have a certain degree of resistance to wildfires, which is innate, let's say. However, this level of resistance diminishes over time. We were mentioning climate change earlier on. Climate change creates conditions that actually are favorable for wildfires. So in conditions of water scarcity or water stress, even forests may be overwhelmed by wildfires. Many protected areas are identified by these red dots, especially the smaller ones, those belonging to the Rete Natura 2000, the 2000 nature network. These protected areas are relatively small, as I said, and they do not have a protection buffer from the outside environment, which is strongly anthropized. We live in the Basilicata region, which is strongly anthropized. If we look around, we can see our Apennines covered in forests. It may look like a fully natural environment, however, it is not. It's quite significantly anthropized. And the wildfires are rarely natural in origin. Only 1% of wildfires are natural. The great majority of these wildfires are caused by people, either accidentally or intentionally. So the real issue we have to tackle is prevention, to prevent wildfires from being sparked. Once a wildfire is sparked in an area, it starts with combustion material which are easily set on fire, then it starts spreading. So the quality of the fuel, so to speak, is the fundamental aspect to take into account. As it causes a wildfire from to affect not only the ground, but also the tree canopies and crowns. So when it moves from shrubs to a whole forest, then a low-intensity wildfire becomes a high-intensity wildfire with flames that are taller and taller. They can start burning the tree crowns. This is how the wildfire spreads and may become uncontrollable.
Incendio, perché appunto ci
What happens during the wildfire help us to understand what are what is the possibility to restore the vegetation. So in a natural system of evolution, like the one mentioned on the article published on Science in 2020, we can move from a natural system to a more mature ecosystem, whereby we start to accumulate a lot of necromass because plants start to age and the presence of the accumulation of necro masses becomes a very facilitating cause for that is quite important. So what can happen? Well, it can happen that there might be a wildfire, the stent replacing wildfire, cancelling the present ecosystem, or other wildfires that are less intense, that somehow disturb the soil, but they do not destroy it. Fortunately, in our case, in the Basilicata region, the most part of wildfires are low intensity and medium intensity wildfires, because the high intensity wildfires are very difficult to be managed. And as we said beforehand, well, when we mentioned the case of Greece, they finish when the combustible is, the carburant is finished, or when the climate conditions change in a drastic way. So it happens very often that this wildfire, well, here we speak about the wildfire concept as an ecological factor. In a natural wildfire regime, as we know it since many years, many centuries, the wildfire shaped gradually the natural communities. So the fire was was acting as a disturbing factor to renew the natural systems. So the systems could be changed, new species were coming in, and new changes took place inside the forest coverage. Where in the moment where wildfire was managed by man, it became like a management tool on the territory. Now it became a destruction tool to create damages and to create damages on the territory for a number of reasons that you know very well in your inquiring activity and also in your prevention activity. So the fire crossing a forest decreases the response capacity. So the resilience capacity is lowered when creating a new balance because the wildfire comes back again. So what happens in an area where having an impact, some species, plant species can create a coverage that can remain there for a long time, or it can evolve throughout some processes, replacing processes, helping the forest coverage to be restored. So in the scheme you see below, you see the evolution of this process. So this process can last for centuries, because when a wildfire destroys the surface, in order to restore that surface, we need decades sometimes, because we could replace this coverage with grass, and the grass can remain that way until there is a new disturbance factor. The soil coverage comes back again, which is fundamental, because after the fire had an impact, the soil has an impact and becomes more fragile. So the fertility is lost and the organic capacity is lost again. We spoke about the remote sensing, because that's a tool that helping us to look at the territory, vast areas in different moments, because the remote sensing is based on the measuring systems on satellite platforms hosting sensors that can concentrate on the same area. And sometimes it's possible to monitor the same area throughout a series of different sensors. And the program Copernicus with the Sentinel sensors that are active since 2016 is giving us important data to be able to understand the evolution of the territory in general and what happens, what's the impact of the different wildfires. So we have different ways to monitor the area. In this case, I identified a series of examples. In this image, infrared image, you can see, for example, the scar created by the fire. This dark stain reflects that. In the same image, you can combine the spectrum bands, and this can help you to calculate an index, giving you not just the image, but the value of the impact of the wildfire. So we have the burn area index. Or we can also use the normalized burn ratio, another indicator. These are all indicators using the infrared bands that show the small and medium radius, because they're very sensitive to the water and can show the grass coverage. You can also see this image in natural colors. For example, this is a composition of a series of different bands. Here you can see the highlighting is decreased, but another technique is the one helping you to combine the area impacted by the fire. Here you can see the different reflections, thermal reflection, putting in evidence the active fires and also the area impacted by high temperatures. You can all do that, so because all these tools are at the disposal of different people. This is a little game I like to play with my students. when surfing on the Sentinel browser. So here, for example, we see the wildfire on Vesuvius happened in 2017. There was another wildfire in the Sorrento Peninsula. So with this effect, you can put in evidence the different areas where there were active fires. And the area was quite extended. As you can see, the depth was really big, and it was really a very important wildfire. This wildfire happened in 2017 when this area was hit by a very strong heat wave, an extreme heat wave. And this helped us to create helped the territory to create the facilitating conditions for the fire to be spread. This is an image created in 2017 that I used in the class with my student. These brown and gray areas are the areas where the wildfire happened. We have another example affecting the dam of Mount Cutuno. So here what we can see is another element. If we exclude the Loch Ness Monster, which is not present, we did not connect it with the fires. Here you can see the Canaderk and the dam. So the satellites moved in that direction and identified this active wildfire. So now this shows us a picture that is taken at random. We are not certain that the satellites cross that area, but this is an image taken by the satellites. We were not certain that the satellite crossed this area during the wildfire, but the mapping is quite accurate. These images had been repeated in time. The scan has been taken in an interval of 16 days. Here, in this case, 8 days. With Sentinel, it's possible to map a zone every 5 days. And it's possible to monitor all these events, starting from the typical approach, the classical approach shown by Mr. Mancino beforehand, where you can see that the wildfire takes place. There is a mortality ratio, a drop of indexes that we use to monitor the vegetation, for example, NDVI, the normalized difference of the vegetation index. We have a drop lasting about 1 year because we have the immediate mortality and the post-wildfire mortality. So we measure in a period of 5 years after the event, what happens according to these indicators, NDVI, or according to other indicators being taken into consideration. And we plan how to restore the vegetation. We did this on a continental scale, using all the data about the wildfires taking place in Europe since 2000 to 2015, and also we repeated the same exercise on a regional basis using a wildfire map and comparing it with the Forest Authority map. The results were striking because this recovery index showed as an indicator that in the years, throughout the years, the areas crossed by the wildfire take more and more time to adapt, to recreate the grass coverage. What does this mean? It means that in time, the conditions are more and more difficult on an environmental point of view, and this decreases the possibility of recreating the vegetation cover. This indicator was used by a researcher of boreal forests, and there the opposite phenomenon was observed. In the last 20 years, these forests recreate themselves more and faster because the climate change is making the season longer. So it's becoming warmer and the forests have more possibility to recreate themselves in that area. We are experiencing the opposite. In the Mediterranean area, this indicator makes us understand that the effects of the climate change on this area are the opposite. Whereas as far as the regional scale is concerned, we repeated this analysis and the results were the same. This is the last slide, don't worry. Yes, the results were the same. The incredible thing we noticed is that the biggest difficulty in restoring this area, well, depends on the fact that the Mediterranean maquis and the oak forest are the more resilient and the more adaptable. If we analyze the different causes that might be at the basis of this phenomenon, there is a correlation with the climate condition of precipitation and weather conditions in the year following the wildfire. So the extreme conditions after the wildfire took place slowed down the restoration. So we risk to lose the resilience capacity of our forests to the wildfire, notably in the Mediterranean area. This is caused by the climate change. So the climate change on one side facilitates the spread of the fire. On the other side, it reduces the resilience of systems. So at the end of the day, what can we say? We can say that for each area, we can identify every pixel and pixel by pixel, the areas where the restoration is easier and the areas where the restoration is more difficult. This helps us to optimize the resources to target our interventions on the territory. The wildfires can be identified. We identified many of them along the rivers. In these areas, the vegetation is expanding because there is less anthropic pressure. There is a vegetation accumulation which is bigger, and in these areas, the wildfires can expand and can take place quite frequently. I come to the conclusions. I listed already a series of conclusions when I showed you the results of this study. These tools are at your disposal, are at the disposal of entities, of scientific entities, of the citizens. If you want to know more about the dam of Camastra, it's possible, and this data can help everyone to plan the measures to be taken to increase the resilience and resistance to wildfire. Thank you very much.
We will have now a round table. Thank you to Giovanni Di Bello, Dr. Giovanni Di Bello, Director of the Civil Protection. Okay, yeah, of Civil Protection of Regione Basilicata. Thank you to Maria Gabriella Martino, Head of the Regional Body of Carabinieri Forestali. I don't know how to translate in English. Because to those that are attending by remote, had the merge of the body of Forestali that was a separate police corp until 5-6 years ago. How long? 7 years ago. And now it is a part of the Carabinieri, that is an army of the Italian Army Corps. And thank you to Vincenzo Salvatore Ciani, Director of the Firefighters body of Regione Basilicata. And last but not least, to Andreas Vassiliopoulos, that is the partner with AVMAP
AVMAP.
AVMAP, sorry. Okay. So I will not take more time to the discussion that I already expect will be vivid and interesting. So I will share with you the aim of this short discussion between partners. We will have to half an hour or right an hour, roughly an hour, to okay. I was speaking in English for the guests. But do you all have the interpretation in Italian is working? Okay, so I will propose just 2 points of discussion to the participants that then can change, can propose other ideas. My proposal is to focus on 2 points. The first is, I know that in many countries, also in not only in Italy, we have had quite substantial changes in the institutional organization, in the procedural structure of the fight of the about policies for firefighting or fire controls, fire prevention. These institutional changes, we know something in Italy, are always very difficult. So, and discussing with the friend from Greece, I understood that in Greece it's quite the same. So what is the situation? Are there changes, institutional, procedural changes that really brought some advantage to these policies that were a beautiful advancement? I will make an example from another sector, totally another sector. In the 70s in Italy, there was a change of the health services system. We moved from a mutual approach to the national universal health service. This was a radical change that brought also a lot of difficulties, but it brought a lot of benefits. Now, I am not a specialist, not of the health system nor of the fire, etc. But I heard that many relevant changes happened in recently, and one I already mentioned one, that is the change the Forestali that had a different dress until 7 years ago. The merge of Forestali body in the Carabinieri. So I would like to hear from you what are, in your opinion, the main changes and opinions of what they brought, if they were an advancement or if they were a move backward. The second question is about technologies. We are overwhelmed by technologies. We will not make the coffee by ourselves. It will arrive with a drone, etc. And in the sector of firefighting, we have enormous advances in terms of technologies. But when the director of the firefighters wakes up in the morning and goes to work, is there something that really changed his life or her life? The other, is there something that you can say, okay, this changed my life as a firefighter? Because obviously the research, the scientists that we had, Professor Nollet, that told us of enormous innovation. Yeah, they are there, they are progressing. But what is important for us is also what we will do tomorrow morning. So I can finish here, and I would like to give the floor first to Gabriella Martino. And I would like to propose that we start from the first question. In institutional procedures innovations. We will, in order to have a round of, for everybody, roughly 5 minutes maximum. If it is 4, it's better.
Grazie, dottor Peretti. Io parlerò in italiano.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I will speak Italian. Thank you very much. Absolutely.
Of remote translation, and I will take the occasion to thank Giacomo and Margherita that are interpreting us from remote. So you can speak in your language and it will be perfect.
Thank you very much. I was so well introduced that I can say that I have the honor to represent the Carabinieri Forestali, which have a specific competence in the prevention of the crime of wildfire. My experience has been accumulated on the ground, on the territory, but also in the field of implementation of technology. The environmental simulator is the device we implemented. We are the only ones to experience it. This enables the training of military corps specializing in the management of wildfires. This device enables us to immerse in a live environment where the different operators can implement a series of equipments to be utilized in real operations. The role of the Carabinieri Corps starts from prevention, first of all. So we deliver targeted services, bearing in mind that wildfires are being caused mainly by the human action, if not totally. And the territory to be impacted is quite vast, quite wide to be effectively monitored. We can say that next to the targeted services, it is necessary to raise awareness among the population, the breeders, the farmers on the correct behaviors and behavioral norms. The burning of grass on the territory, the burning of residues is very common. Raising awareness among the mayors is important as well when it comes to specific legislation concerning specific areas and particular risk areas. This in periods ranging from 15th June to the 15th of September. Of course, it's necessary to monitor, to clean and to maintain the forests and to clean this area along the railway. We have prevention, but we also have patrolling activities, including prevention, surveillance activities on the territory, but also inquiring activities to repress the phenomenon of crime. So it's clear that the repression activity needs also a study, an analysis of the historical data concerning the impacted areas so that we can facilitate the delivering of targeted services in the territory and in those areas where the phenomenon risks to be extended. In the Basilicata region, for example, we give a special attention to the Maratea area and to the Pollino or Somarso. So we put in place a series of hotspots thanks to the cooperation with the Carabinieri Corps, but also to the cooperation with the Basilicata region to be able to concentrate, prevent, and prosecute in a targeted way the eventual responsible of the crime. Throughout the years, Italy was concerned by an evolution in the field of the law panorama. The 353 law was the basis, and then the law has been reviewed many times, and this was paramount to fight against wildfires and to prevent crimes. So different causes can be identified and also the risk areas. When it comes to the active fight, the competence and the skill of the regional entities is important to coordinate the activities on the territory and to involve the different resources and stakeholders. The Carabinieri Corp is in convention with the regional government of Basilicata. But the law on which we are concentrating is the Article 10.1. The municipalities have to provide on the different areas interested by the fire, in the different areas, they have to adopt and to update the cadastre, the wildfire map, in which you can find the different areas impacted by wildfires, and they have to include some new laws or some new commas in the existing laws. Considering the emergencies of the last years, we can say that other provisions have been added to the existing laws. And actually, we managed to vote the law decree 2021, which is very important, 2021, which increased the penalties and which is going to increase the interventions in case of emergencies in the designated areas, and imposes to draw the national plan to reinforce the implementation of all resources to prevent wildfires by air, by earth, and by all possible means. What did the Carabinieri do in this context? Of course, there was an evolution thanks to the implementation of this decree, and a new element has been added. So we created the new geo portal on wildfire mapping. This means that with the implementation of this new law, the Carabinieri Forestali can identify the areas impacted by the wildfire, and they can update on digital support the data. They publish the activities carried out on the territory on a certain website belonging to the Carabinieri Corp, denominated CIV. So we said fire cadastre. The municipality has a certain time to introduce the data that are being given by the Carabinieri themselves. And on those surfaces, new provisions will be implemented. Then later on has been established that a replacing authority can act on behalf of the municipality in case the municipality cannot act. And another provision has been adopted or can be adopted if the municipalities do not update or cannot update the map. This so-called portal is a tool, a modern tool, and can be immediately accessed and used, is accessible to different entities, but also to citizens, to all those parties who want to know more about the extension of the phenomenon in the regions where the Carabinieri Forestali operates. So, of course, every region can adopt their own system regarding the geolocalization, and the regional government of Basilicata has an efficient system similar to that, and we can use the data that the Carabinieri Forestali gathered to this extent and introduces inside this portal. And after the actions have been taking place on the spot, and after the measures have been taken, and this system is updated, the entities of the regional government of Basilicata can use this portal. There is a dedicated area where you can see the mapping of the territory. You can get access to the information, to the cadastre maps, all the news that are important to define that phenomenon. Of course, the involvement of the different institutions and of the different entities of the population as well could obtain and could make us reach realize, put together a network involving the cooperation of several stakeholders that can make the territory less vulnerable. And this is important to reduce the expansion of those wildfires that are the result of a lack of culture, environmental culture. So we need to train people about the good practices, good behaviors to be adopted as a prevention of wildfire. Then some activities centered around the circular economy initiatives that teach people to reuse the old materials, and also the abandoned territory that are increasing, are on the rise in our region. So it's a complex phenomenon that can be mitigated in our insight just by training, preparing, and raising awareness among the communities. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And now we'll give the floor to Mr. Vincenzo Salvatore Ciani. Thank you. First of all, I'd like to greet all the participants, both here in the room and connected remotely. I'm Vincenzo Gianni, Regional Director of the Firefighters Department of the Basilicata Region. Now, in relation to the issues raised by the moderator, I'd like to highlight a couple of aspects. First of all, let me just say that I think that fire brigades in all countries take action to suppress wildfires. So we do not participate in prevention activities or in protection activities after the event. So our scope of work is actually quite limited. However, it's quite relevant when an emergency arises. Regarding regulations and the skills required, let me just highlight that in Italy, jurisdiction, rather not skills, but jurisdiction over wildfires is in the hands of both the states, the regions, and the local bodies. After Title 5 of the Constitution was changed in the past and its subsequent modifications, the last one in 2000, the regions were granted jurisdiction over wildfires and to fight against them. It's also true that it is our responsibility to suppress wildfires in general, or fires in general, rather. Italy is significantly anthropized, even in woodland areas, so it's necessary to find a way to work together between the states, the regions, and the municipalities when it comes to suppressing fires. This has caused problems in the past. However, now it's been 25 years since the framework law was passed governing this discipline, and now we've found a way to operate synergically and quite effectively so. So the principle of subsidiarity is applied here. There is an agreement with the region that is renewed annually in the peak season of wildfires, which is legally established to go from the 15th of June to the 15th of September. It is also true that climate change has now changed this fire season. They may start earlier and continue beyond September. This was the case this year. We had wildfires even after the 15th of September. In any case, let me just say that it would be beneficial if researchers gave us further information and measures to determine the resources we need to put in place to meet the needs existing. Let me just rephrase it. There's a high risk of wildfires, especially in the woodland-urban interfaces, which exposes people to a significant risk. And when I talk about interface, I'm also referring to farms and livestock breeding activities and stuff. So it would be ideal to consider the vulnerability of the local area and the weather forecasts. If we talk about earthquakes, for instance, seismic vulnerability is more stable and steady. Once it's been identified, we know that the old town of that specific municipality is more vulnerable. So when you've got a magnitude 5, 6, or 7 earthquake, you already know what the effects will be. On the other hand, if we sort of translate this same notion to the risk of wildfires occurring, when we map the vulnerable spots of the areas, well, those vulnerable spots are such based on a number of different parameters that should be taken into account. So their vulnerability is affected by the presence of wind, of humidity, and a number of different elements. So an area becomes vulnerable according to the weather conditions, and that's where the problem resides. We often play by the ear, so to speak, allow me this metaphor. So we take things as they come. So based on our previous experience, we have divided the regional area into 6 macro areas. And we know that these macro areas are affected by wildfire in certain periods of the year. We've done it to optimize the use of the resources we have. However, this kind of prediction based on these 6 macro areas should be checked against the daily weather conditions and forecasts so that we can better deploy the resources available. Recently, we have started using drones to localize wildfires. It goes without saying that reaction time is essential for the best outcome in managing the wildfire. In 2007, I was in Foggia when the Peschici wildfire broke out, and that wildfire was a crown fire. It developed in less than 15 to 20 minutes, and it quickly spread to 400 meters, and it was advancing at a speed of 1 kilometer per hour. This means 16 meters a minute. So when a wildfire reaches such magnitude, it becomes extremely dangerous. It is difficult to even get close to it. It can only be managed with aerial vehicles. It may be broken downstream, so to speak. So the case that fire was suppressed because it reached the coast and because the aerial vehicles managed to contain the fires. And the use of aerial vehicles is an example of interinstitutional synergy and subsidiarity in terms of the jurisdiction over wildfires. This means that the National Civil Protection Department manages the issue, and it receives the inputs from the local areas. It assesses the information received. The information is then codified to make sure that we don't step on each other's shoes. And then the aerial vehicles are deployed. They are typically found across the country. And there are professional figures who are tasked with interacting with the aerial forces. When an aerial vehicle intervenes to fight against a wildfire, it needs to receive information from the ground to take into account a number of obstacles, such as power lines, among others. And the pilot needs to be aware of these obstacles, such as the, including, as well as the crew on the vehicle. So it's important to have effective and reliable interactions with the ground personnel. And we've got specific means of communication that the ground personnel uses to communicate with the pilots of the planes. And this whole process is coordinated by specific figures, specific professionals who are in charge, as I said, of making sure that this communication is effective. This is the result of an evolution that has taken place over the last 30 years. 30 years ago, let's say the landscape was significantly different. And now we are improving in the way we manage the whole process. So we are improving, that's true, but at the same time, our enemy is becoming worse and worse. So the battle is becoming increasingly difficult. So let me just finish by saying that we can only support these initiatives aimed at providing an array of tools and elements to better perform our firefighting activities and optimize the use of our resources. Certainly, it is important to strengthen the prevention side of things. It's always better to prevent than to cure. But prevention is always a sort of soft spot, you know, something we can improve on. The abandonment of land, the abandonment of certain settlements, among other things, is not helpful in managing the territory. In addition to that, many municipal administrations are not effective in performing even the most trivial activities, such as mowing the lawns, for instance, or cutting the grass near the urban centers. And this may lead to cause significant damage if a wildfire breaks out. I'm not going to take up any more of your time, but I'm happy to take any questions if there are any. Thank you very much. Okay, then let me just give the floor now to Mr. Giovanni Di Bello. Good morning, I'm Giovanni Di Bello, head of the Civil Protection Office of the Basilicata Region. Let me greet all the organizers and the participants, as well as the speakers here at the table with me. I would like to make a few remarks with you. I'd like to try and understand with you how we can fight against wildfires more effectively and more efficiently. So how we can actively and effectively fight against fires. And let me just start by saying the following. It's important to identify the causes of the fire. We used our planning to analyze the causes of wildfires, and our analysis has revealed that identifying the trigger of the fire is never an easy feat. However, wildfires can be natural, accidental, voluntary, or involuntary. Think about it, 35% of triggers is of dubious origin. 35% of wildfires, let me repeat that, can be due to negligence, or and 42% instead are intentional. Only 1% of wildfires can be ascribed to natural causes. So it's essential to identify the cause if we want to mitigate the effects of wildfire, and if we want to have an organizational model of the various scenarios that are relevant. Now, of course, we would be happier if the percentage of natural fires was higher. Clearly, when you've got 49% of wildfires that is intentional, well, that means that you have to find out who sparks these fires. And it's not easy to identify these people, these perpetrators. If that were easy, we wouldn't have had 4,000 wildfires in the last year, many of which occurred in the peak season or the risk season. The president of the regional council said that we should have an extended season until the 15th of October. That would be better than the 15th of September. We would also love to extend the peak season, but the main hazard season clearly entails a series of costs and burdens in terms of the organization, the vehicles, the means, the staff required to intervene. So we need to take into account the resources that regions can rely on, including financial resources, because it is up to the regions to manage this issue. So what kind of measures do we take? What's our modus operandi? We said that the main steps to fighting against fires are prevention in the first place and suppression. So prevention and suppression are the two main steps of the fight against wildfires. Technology gives us a helping hand when it comes to identifying the causes. Well, now we know what the main causes are. Our 3-year firefighting plan also includes the causes and the hazard and risk maps, municipality by municipality, and the municipalities are divided into 6 classes of risk. So we have already sort of framed our territory and clearly codified it, and we know what the level of risk is in our local areas. Risk posed by the vegetation or other factors that have to do with the specificities of our area, including the temperature. For instance, this year we have experienced a 1.5 rise in our typical temperature in our region. We've also suffered from droughts. We didn't have rainfall. This is another predisposing factor that facilitates the breaking out of fires. It sort of increases, let's say, the effect of the actions of perpetrators who intentionally set fire to woodlands. So who steps in these cases? We've got the fire brigade, we've got the forest corps of the Carabinieri. As Ms. Martino has said, the Carabinieri forest corps are also involved in prevention, which is good. But having some units of the forest corps deployed is definitely a positive measure, but it's not all there is to it. It's not it's not the ultimate solution. We need all the stakeholders to cooperate. We need the civil protection officials. We need the Carabinieri. We need all the other players working at a local and regional levels. And we also need the support of citizens. Citizens should be made aware of the risks and be educated. So we need educational and awareness-raising activities, which is what we've been doing for a few years now amongst citizens. So the figure we have to focus on is these 4,000 wildfires we've had in the last year, especially in the peak season. And then we have to focus on the causes. So these are our starting points for our discussion. And what are the next steps then? Well, we have to figure out how to make the most of all the main steps, including prevention and suppression or active fighting against the wildfire. As the original director of the fire brigade said, there is an established model that has been so for a few years now. It includes a number of operational units coordinated by the Basilicata region, which is tasked with coordination by law. So we've got the Civil Protection Office, the Forest Office involved in this coordination efforts, and the suppression activities are coordinated by the operational room of the civil protection, which becomes a unified, permanent operational room, especially in the peak season. So this operational room manages all the operational activities when a wildfire breaks out. So the operational machine works perfectly. But the point is, are we dealing with 4,000 wildfires, 2,000 wildfires, 1,000 wildfires? Clearly, if we are able to mitigate and reduce the number of wildfires, and if we can identify the causes and strengthen all prediction and prevention activities, then we've done most of the work already. But as we said, it's never easy to identify the causes of a wildfire. Clearly, this discussion would take much longer. We don't have all that time now, so I'm trying to sum it up a bit. So we've got causes related to negligence or inexperience or malpractice. Well, this is 15% of all the wildfires, and this can be addressed with awareness raising activities in schools, for instance. So we're working with the ministry to do that. We also offer training to all the mayors, because they are in charge of passing laws. They are in charge with monitoring their own municipal territory. They are tasked with maintaining, clearly, the area they manage. So they are also in charge of cutting the grass or mowing the lawns, or, you know, keeping the fields clean and orderly to prevent flames from spreading into other environments or areas, which may lead to a much more complex fire, an interface fire affecting the woodland urban interface. So it's important to sort of plow the fields, to plow a strip of land that ranges from 7 to 10 meters of the field, which creates a sort of buffer zone to stop the spread of the fire. So let's talk about prevention. How can technology help us with prevention? We have already emphasized prevention, and prevention can be achieved using the planning tools available and the educational and awareness-raising activities we can carry out with the citizens. And it can also be achieved with specific training and with alert systems. We've got some maps to predict wildfires at the Civil Protection Department. These are sub-municipal maps which can alert us about a wildfire by identifying the areas that are most exposed to the risk of wildfires, that are most vulnerable to wildfires. Regarding prediction activities, well, prediction is just as important as prevention. What kind of prediction activities can be performed? Well, let me go back to prevention activities. As I said, we've got some systems to sort of site wildfires. This can be done with ground vehicles or ground units, including the Carabinieri Forest Corps and others. We patrol the areas also using drones and ultra light planes, and also traditional planes. And this kind of patrolling adds up to the other prevention activities. So we perform this kind of patrolling in the areas that have been identified as being most vulnerable and exposed to the possibility of a wildfire breaking out. Let me just say something else, which is just as important. It's about the use of technology. For some time now, we've been using technology at our availability as an advanced tool involved in our decision-making process. Knowing your fire map is equally important, but we have promoted a project funded with European funds, 13 million euros in funds, which revolves around three main pillars. So you've got the strengthening of the interoperability of the information systems used in the operational room. That's pillar number one, the strengthening of these information tools. The second pillar is the creation and implementation of the regional digital radio network. This network enables us to communicate quickly using a safe digital network, safe and secure digital network. This network enables us to communicate in real time with all the players involved in the firefighting activities. We've got a multi-risk network, which we're strengthening by deploying long-range precision cameras, which can identify the spark of even very small wildfires in woodlands. They transmit the data to the regional operational room, which works 12 hours a day by officials of the civil protection and personnel from the Carabinieri forest corps and some personnel from the fire brigade, as well as volunteers who also support the suppression activities on the field. And then the colleagues from the national department are also involved in the activities remotely, especially when planes have to be deployed. As we said, the active suppression of the wildfire isn't only done using ground vehicles, but also aerial vehicles. So last year, we purchased a regional helicopter. Hopefully this year we'll be able to use 2 helicopters so that we can intervene on wildfires, which can be suppressed very quickly only by using helicopters. As the regional director of the firefighters said, the reaction time is of the essence. If these 2 helicopters are not sufficient, or if they're not suitable because of the type of wildfire, then we contact the national operational room, which provides us with their own planes from the national fleet to support us in the suppression activities. Well, I guess I'll stop here. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. And let me thank Mr. Chani as well. Unfortunately, he will have to leave now. But I'll be replaced by a colleague. Mr. Capoluongo will stay on. He's followed the debate up until now. And so he'll be replacing Mr. Vincenzo Chani, Regional Director of the Firefighters Department. And now, let's give the floor to our foreign guest. And he would have to take the floor first normally, but I apologize if we're giving him the floor last. So let's hear from Andreas Vasilopoulos. He already took the floor earlier on when he introduced his company. But we were happy to invite him to join us in this roundtable because he has experience as a manager, but also with the operations. So not only in management, but also with the actual operations. So you've got the floor, Mr. Andres.
Thank you all, and thank you, Piaggio, for this fruitful panel. Forest fires are one of the biggest problems that we face every year, and this makes them even more, let's say, strange to us, because every year we face the same problem and we fail to solve it. And we have, as the previous speaker said, we have to understand why fires occur, who brings up the fire. And one of the major, the last 30 years, one of the major causes of fires are people that believe that by burning an area, they can easily urbanize the next years this area. And this is why intentional fires are very high, at least in Greece, I believe in other countries as well. And going to institutional changes, as Piaggio requested to say, one big institutional change is that now we finish in the whole country the maps that clarify what is urban and what is forest or agricultural land, which means that after finalizing these maps, national maps, even if a fire burns a forest, the forest will be regenerated as a forest and not be able to, let's say, deforest the area and urbanize it. So this stops the motivation of firing. And another thing is that we have to understand, and it was very clear to the fire, the huge fire of 2018, where I attended not as an administrative person, but also in the fire, helping the firemen and the people that are neighbors that were facing the problems of the fire 2 days. Who is responsible to act during the fire? The municipality, the prefecture, the ministry, the fire department, the police department. And I have to tell you that even when we knew that the fire was in the urban area, the authorities were debating who has to give the evacuation signal. And you understand that a fire that runs with 1.5 kilometers per hour is very, let's say, very rapid, and you don't have the time to take such decisions at this time of the fire. So one big institutional change is that we restructured after the fire of 2018 the legislation, and we prioritized prevention. I will come to this later, and also upgraded the role of ministry, and we created a Ministry of Climate Crisis and Civil Protection, who has the overall coordination role wherever we have not only fires but also floods and other disasters. And this was also supplemented by a new law in 2023, where we upgraded also the role of municipalities, the fire departments of municipalities, and also the volunteering teams, the volunteering teams that support the municipalities. We upgraded their role so that they are the first to go and act in a local fire. Whereas previous times, the fire department was the first to go and the municipal infrastructure was there to assist. This is a big change because it is impossible for the fire department to be prompt to the whole country, where the municipalities know their area, have their equipment, because now we upgraded also their equipment, and they have an intervention of under 8 to 9 minutes in whole Greece. So they are the first to go there with engines, fire engines, and people, trained people, and they're the first to report to the fire department or the civil protection ministry, because one of the problems that we face, and you know the problem, is that the first to go maybe doesn't give the clear picture of what is happening there. And this was structured so we know what to say, when to say it, and to whom to say it, so that the fire department will organize a good response based on the incident. This is also very important because we might have, most times we have multiple incidents in one region on in our country. So the fire department or the ministry now has to organize support to 2 or 3 areas at the same time, and wants to know how to expand their forces. Again, in 2003, there was a new legislation that a joint ministry decision that passed the responsibility of preparing the houses to the civilians, to the owners of the house. It was the first time that a law says that if you have a property and a house in it, you have to go to certain steps to make an assessment. Not you, but a scientist should attend your house, check your house, and make an assessment form of your house, and then take several measures, preventing measures, which means cleaning surrounding of your house, opening some paths, so more than one path to evacuate your house, and also measures to mitigate the fire results, which means replacing your doors and windows with fireproof materials, painting your house with fireproof materials, removing some flammable the woods from the fireplace that are left during summer away from your house and covered, and things like that. So the responsibility passes to each owner. This is a big change that, of course, cannot be adapted to the whole country, because it also assumes a high cost for its owner, who is not ready to pay for it, and it's not possible to pay for it. But it's a good step forward, so that each one of us prepare our houses more resilient to fire. There is also a big change where, if we speak about, do you want to go to technological, or we speak later, Piaggio? Sorry. Do you want to speak now about technological improvements, or you want to be the second round?
Well, let's go for the second round to give the time to the.
Okay, so. Continuing to legislation, there is also in 2023-2024 the establishment of a risk assessment committee. It is the first time that that Greece, the ministry, understood that it needs scientists to be integrated in one of those committees, and not only firemen, policemen, and civil protection people. So they integrated people from the Meteorological Society. They integrated people from universities and also from research institutes, so that we can divide in our area in regions of importance of difficulty, and also to be able to give information about what is burned, what is the speed that it is burned, and to give models. This is one of the roles of our project also, to give models how the fire is spread, and one step further, how to run scenarios before we implement fire prevention measures on their efficiency, which means that before we spend the money taking a measure, we have to evaluate what is the efficiency of this measure in order to be able to understand how we spend our budget better and more efficiently. The fires that happened the last years, 2018, 2021, 22, 24, I am referring only to Attica region, not the whole Greece, were fires that started from mountains, mainly Pedeli mountain, but very in short time ran through urban areas and made huge disasters, not only in loss of human people, but also in loss of infrastructure, and also gave us a good idea that it is very expensive to compensate after the fire than give that money to prevent fire. And that's why we shifted towards prevention. And one thing that is not related to fire directly, but it is related to fire, is that when we are cleaning our areas, municipal, governmental areas, or our houses from the vegetation that might be burned material, this produces a huge mass of vegetation that the country has to deal with. And now we're facing the problem that we don't know what to do with this material that is concentrated. There are some improvements, technological improvements to produce energy, to produce pellets and compost and other things. But if you consider that this mass is concentrated during March, April, and May, which is the 3 months that we have to prepare our areas, this is a huge amount of mass, wood mass that we have to deal with, and we are not prepared. I believe you are not prepared also what to do with this mass and how to transfer this mass to infrastructures that will process it. So this is what we are running now as a project, how to help municipalities collect this and also send this to units that will convert it to compost or electricity or pellets. So these are the last 6-7 years changes that took place, mainly, I repeat, starting from the huge fire of 2018 in Mati that you all know. Thank you.
Thank you, Andreas. I think I will, instead of choosing by myself, is there, who of you wants to intervene first? I heard I am speaking as a representative of the general public. I heard two interesting points. The issue of the, if I understood correctly, Andreas, you will correct me, the a regulation, a law that imposed to the civil persons, to the families, to make some structural intervention in their houses in order to improve fire resistance to them. So I might ask if in Italy there is something similar, obviously with the natural differences. Second, I would like to ask about the last question, about what to do of the materials that are that represent a huge risk for future fires, and what is the approach in our region, in our country? So please, who wants to be the first?
Yes, I will take the floor. We are active in the active fight. We are also present at institutional level. We are the entity that takes care of the prevention in buildings, prevention of fire. So when it comes to buildings, I can say that the decision-making, law-making entity is the fire brigade in Italy. So this is the prerogative, because usually in other countries this competence is separated. The experience of being on the ground to suppress fires can be also used to analyze and to help creating preventive laws in the field of prevention. When it comes to buildings, we propose laws that can be implemented, but none of them can be monitored directly by us. Unfortunately, we have some timings to respect. I'm totally incompetent in the field, but I know how important is your competence in the field of fire prevention in buildings. But well, I heard about measures to be adopted around the buildings. So, for example, the creation of pathways, escaping pathways, the way to manage internal spaces. What's your experience in this matter? As far as I understood, the problems we had to face in Greece, people had to face in Greece, is an interface relating problem. That's what we called in Italy. This has an impact on the urban area. This is the feature of what we call interface. We, as fire brigade, we are active in the fight of wildfires. We mainly intervene on the interfaces. This does not mean that we cannot act in the other cases, but in support of the regional governments. The coordination of fire suppression is managed by the region, and then the other activities are being managed by the fire brigade. When it comes to the urban areas, somehow it does not is not part of our competencies unless that activity is part of the activities being controlled by the fire brigade. We only have a list of 80 activities, and there are special laws regulating of fire suppression prevention. So that's why I spoke about the fire prevention. Otherwise, this matter has to be dealt with at the local level between the municipalities and the regional government. I partially understood what has been said in English, but as far as I understood, first of all, I would like to clarify a situation. Namely, every situation, every local situation is different from the other. So probably that's the reason why the urban texture in that place is something that can actually facilitate the municipality of Potenza to act. I don't know if this is possible in other municipalities, in other areas. What you did actually is an active citizenship project. So you somehow imposed the duty to clean up their own area. So this is, if you want, the result of cleaning operations, and this is has been introduced into a circular economy system where microphone. So in practice, it's a practice that can be scaled, can be reproposed in many small municipalities of Basilicata. But please bear in mind that our approach is centered around a legislation that is positive for mayors, whereby we have some prohibitions and sanctions to keep our funds cleaned, because where we act, where we identify the wildfires, actually we can involve the municipalities that carry out cleaning activities. So the burning of grass is an example of that. And the prohibition to keep clean your own field is an example. And the prohibition to not to use the prohibition actually, so you have the duty to keep your fields cleaned is another example. So under this profile, it's necessary to apply sanctions to those who do not carry out such activities. So our activity stops here. The activity that the municipalities want to invest on with their populations. But there is probably some other aspects that I need to understand, because Mrs. Martino, probably you would like to take the floor. Yes. When I was speaking about the mayors, I spoke about the invitation I extend to every mayor to issue a law about the field cleaning and all the measures that can help this. The problem we are having is that, as I said before, many mountains are abandoned. So there is there are some combustion materials that are left there, and so there's no solution for that, you know. So here there is a duty to clean the area, and the cleaning is being made by the dedicated organization. The president of the Basilicata region, the president of the regional government proposes, issues its own regulation, which is valid on the territory of Basilicata. This applies not only to entities, but also to the citizens, to all those who have a farm, to all those managers of infrastructure measures, and they can operate. They have to operate. They have to clean up their areas for which they are competent, to guarantee a better usage, to reduce the negative effects of wildfires. This is what we do. So next to that, there are a series of laws that every major implements in their own municipality. Andreas wanted to say something.
One thing is cleaning the surrounding areas. Another thing that I think that is very valuable to every administration is scoring each house how prompt is in fires. Because and that's why I say that, because we know that many times the fire department would have done much better results if it wasn't obliged to leave the area that was burning and go to extinguish a fire to a house that is being burned. Which means that if we make our houses more resilient to fire, we leave the fire department to deal with just the fire, the burning material, and not the houses that are in danger or the people that are in danger. So scoring, each one of us, each owner, knowing the score of how resilient is his property to a fire is valuable, even for us as citizens. and also for the administration. And the scoring is important also because we have houses that are constructed in different years, very old and very new ones. The new ones are not so easily burned. Houses that are in the forest, houses that have trees, high trees approaching the house, and the houses that are in the middle of nowhere, which means that there is no way out if a fire occurs. So scoring the house is very important to my concept, and I think it's a valuable tool for any administration.
Ok, il dottore dice...
The problem that you presented has to do with the urban area. We oblige or we invite every citizens to adopt a kind of classification of every house regarding the fire risk. So making your house resilient to a wildfire. If each one of you takes care of their own house, dilutes sometimes reduces the engagement in the field of firefighting, because all the houses are safe from fire. In our context, we are not really faced with this situation. For example, in areas next to the sea, the coasts where there are several agglomerations inside pine forest, for example, there it might be the case. Let's think about the village of Castellaneta. You can find many houses that are literally inside the middle of nowhere, like in the pine wood of the Aleppo pine. And so the activity is quite smart, and it's quite smart to reduce the risk. And in this activity, we can involve all people who have a house in this area. I would like to add to this translation the very delicate element and sensitive element of hospitals. We have the scoring in the field of emergencies in the hospitals. We are used to hear the wording red code. So red code means that a patient needs a special assistance, which is higher in degree compared to yellow code. In Greece, they created a similar system, a scoring, which is a classification giving a score to more sensible houses, to more risky houses compared to other houses that are less at risk. If there is no alternative, well, these houses can be helped later. So it's a different problem, but unfortunately, this year we have to remember that the memory of two fire brigade officials who died, because in Italy, wildfires usually do not cause victims, such as in Greece, the big fire in Greece, but these are extreme events and they can cause problems too. You helped me to open the debate that we planned, and those of you who want to ask questions from the audience are free to do that, please. If you can say your name for the interpreters. I'm Guido Lopez from the Civil Protection Office. I would like to give a contribution to the debate, to the last intervention of the Greek representative. I would like to understand what they do, and I would like to draw a parallel with some activities that are being carried out here in Italy. I think that the subject you presented is important, the classification of the risk areas, but also the need to create a policy that can take into consideration the materials used. You spoke about the replacement of windows, the material of the house. So in Italy, there is no comparison, but there is, of course, a similar situation, and we can make a comparison if you want, to assess the risk factor for every house. The regional director spoke about the Peschici fire of 2017. In Italy, this fire originated the creation of the law about the fire prevention. So it dictated some ways of assessing point by point the fire risk in housing. In the municipal planning, we impose the perimeter measurement of the element risk element, the urban areas, the infrastructures, and we make an assessment of the risk taking into consideration a series of factors. So the presence of vegetation, the kind of vegetation, the pyrometry, so the wind that is spreads into a direction rather than in the other. So the planning activity helps us to make a sort of classification of the level of intervention. Every municipality should, on the basis of that planning, if it's well planned, know what are the areas that are impacted by the interface to be able to enhance the patrolling activity and to intensify the observation of such phenomenon. Thank you so much for the intervention. Mr. Loperter, Mr. Macino would like to intervene. On the interfaces area that are being identified at municipal level, did you think about intervention concerning the buffers? And in the reality, are these, can this be explained? Can this be realized? The problem is really important. After the intervention of Mr. Roberti, I would like really to invite
the experience of the other countries that are in RES2FIRE can be very useful.
I was saying that the planning helps to define buffers in a later stage, but this is important for the intervention model. We draw a classification, and a first series could be the urban area with an area of 50 meters, another area of 200 meters, and this is important to be able to evaluate measures to be adopted according to the flame expansion, because all this is linked to the need of adopting measures to safeguard the community, public and private community. So when suppressing a fire, it's important to take some precautionary measures. For example, the evacuation order that needs to be implemented when the flames reach the internal buffer, so to say. So in relation to this, I come back to the contents of your project. It is paramount to have a simulator in place, helping us to assess the situations in progress situation. So to be able to know in real time how much time do we have before the flames reach the perimetral zone of the urban area, that could be a fundamental tool for an operation room. But obviously, it's something that could have an added value for the prevention activity as well. Meaning, measuring the effectiveness of an intervention in a preventive way and to be able to evaluate the effectiveness will help us to plan some activities. And so the added value could be double.
Oh, okay, we have Professor Nollet.
I would like to thank you for the reports of all the institutions, because there are some fundamental points that came out. The number of fires, the system works. If we can have a number of fires that is manageable, obviously is doable. If not, it's not. The efforts made in the prevention, in the monitoring of the territory, well, it's important. We cannot put a Carabinieri or a policeman in every meter of our territory. The other problem we have is the intensity of wildfire, the possibility of operating. If we have a flame that is 1.5 meters high, it's difficult to be close to it, to extinguish it directly. So we are really beyond our possibility of attacking the flame directly and to extinguish the fire. So we have to use other means, our aerial means and so on. This brings us back to an important point, which is the fuel. And here the forest police comes into place. The fuel and the wood. In forest, the wood has a certain value. So the management of wood, the ordinary management of wood, the fact of considering woods as a strategic tool at political level is paramount in our region. Then the preventative silviculture, wherever we have extreme conditions, wherever the ordinary silviculture does not give any profit, the preventive silviculture can be important. The biomass that has no value and the circular economy, it's important how to use the biomasses, how to implement projects concerning compost. But as the forest police says, the wildfire can be extinguished, can be suppressed thanks to the silviculture projects.
You made my life very easy today as a moderator of this meeting. I'm speaking in English for the guests, for kindness to our guests, and I I dare to say for the CGIAM that we will organize in the future, in these next 2 years and 1.5, other moments of discussion, of cooperation, of exchange of experiences in this important field for our welfare and for the future. Thank you very much to everybody, and see you soon, really. Arrivederci.